Absolutely. So I am on my friend Dave's Ducati Panigale 959. He's kindly let me have a little bit of a spin, so I'm going to probably do about half an hour, 40 minutes or so, go for a bit of a ride and then tell you all about it. So this is the first time I've ever ridden a Panigale 959, and first impressions are the riding position is very, very different to my Fireblade. Very different. It's quite a tall riding position. You're definitely sat up and over the front, even more so than on the Fireblade. Now the Fireblade's quite a racy position, but this bike you're sort of sat up quite high, and the bars however are quite wide, so yeah, it's not that uncomfortable really for as far as the upper body's concerned. The upper body's quite comfortable. He's got aftermarket pegs on there, aftermarket rear sets, but they're not too high, so it is quite a manageable riding position, but it is noticeably high. The only downside is the seat. So the seat is really, really stiff. You couldn't do long distances on this seat, but Dave has actually got a couple of other seats. So he's got a standard seat, he's got a comfort seat, but the one fitted now is a race seat basically. I'm going to overtake these two bikes. So yeah, I couldn't go all the way to Germany with this seat. One thing that Dave said to me is about this bike is you notice the heat on the inside of your legs, and straight away, I've only been on this bike 5 minutes and absolutely I noticed the heat. Quick shifter works well, even at relatively low speeds. Quick shifter and auto blipper. The sound is fantastic. He's got a race exhaust fitted, so it's the Termagoni exhaust system fitted, so it's not standard exhaust, and it sounds fantastic. It really does. It growls at you like you would expect from a Ducati. It's also, I'm still getting used to the clutch. I don't know how well you can hear that on camera, but it does sound fantastic. It would take a lot of getting used to though, this position, I must admit. But I guess that's the same as any bike. You jump on a different bike all of a sudden, and yeah, you're gonna have to get used to it. Right, let's see what this feels like when you open it up. So it's got loads of torque low down. I nearly missed the gear then, you could probably see that on camera. I nearly headbutted the screen. So it's got loads of low down torque as you would expect. It hasn't obviously quite got the power of the blade, but it wouldn't have. It's it's a Panigale 959, so it's not going to be a million miles away in terms of power, but it feels very different, and it delivers that power in a really different way. The engine sort of smooths itself out as soon as you get higher in the rev range. I mean, when you're sitting quite low, I'm at like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM now, the engine feels, you can feel the vibrations in the engine, and then as you climb above 7,000 or 8,000 RPM, those vibrations smooth out, and you can just tell that this bike wants to live high up in the rev range. The brakes are pretty good, but it's standard brakes actually, Brembo brakes. Fairly responsive, not too sharp. The brakes don't bite you all of a sudden, so you can be nice and progressive with the lever, and it only requires a light touch. Another thing that Dave has had done to this bike, he's had the suspension set up for his rider weight, and I think I'm slightly heavier than Dave, but not by a massive amount, probably by a large testicles difference. And Dave mentioned that as soon as he had the suspension set up, he noticed a huge difference, a night and day difference in the way the bike handled, which is what you would expect. You know, if you get your bike set up for your rider weight and your style and everything else that goes along with it, then it can absolutely transform the bike, and Dave basically did confirm that that's what it did. It transformed the bike. Obviously I haven't ridden it prior to the suspension being set up, but what I can tell you about the suspension is it feels really well balanced. Come on, turn. It does feel balanced. It doesn't dive too much on braking. It doesn't squat too much under acceleration. It feels like the suspension is exactly where it needs to be, and it doesn't feel too harsh over the bumps. I mean, you would expect a good feel from the suspension, considering this is Olin's. You would expect it to be, you know, to perform really well once it's been set up. It feels like the bike wants you to turn, like the bars are quite wide. It does have aftermarket clip-ons, so they're probably a little bit wider than standard. But that just gives you more leverage, and it wants you to throw it into the bends. It wants you to lean and get your body over. You know, and as even just from a little bit of a weaving right now, it just feels stable. The only criticism I've got is this seat. Jesus. I am actually really impressed. I thought that it would feel completely alien, you know, jumping onto a Ducati Panigale, a completely different bike with completely different characteristics to my Fireblade. And it does feel different, of course it does, but it doesn't feel alien. It doesn't feel, you know, nothing feels out of place. It is in sport mode at the minute, and I am going to change it to race mode shortly, and then see what that does with the throttle response, what it does to the just the general feel and the handling of it. There is that, again, I'm comparing this to the Fireblade. I mean, it's uncompatible. It's going to be different from the Fireblade, but the Fireblade is what I'm used to, so I'm using the Fireblade as a point of reference. I just noticed you bump into the red lines so quickly on this. Whereas on the Fireblade I can hold that first and second gear a lot longer. But this, just as soon as you open the throttle, it's like, okay, red line. The front end, when you do open the throttle, the front end did feel a little bit skittery. I mean, when you're accelerating hard on a bike like this, the front end is obviously going to go light. It did feel a little bit skittery. So it's probably something to look out for. Right, I'm going to pull over and I'll do a walk around and talk a little bit about this bike. Oh, he wasn't kidding when he's talking about trying to find the side stand. So yeah, it is an absolutely beautiful bike to look at. I love the shape of the tank. I love the way your knees hook underneath these bulges in the tank. Yeah, it is a beautiful bike to look at. So, oh yeah, not Termagoni exhaust, sorry. He's got a Kropovich exhaust, so that's a full system that he's had put on there. He's had the Spider clip-ons. As I say, he's had the suspension done. That's all-in suspension, front and rear. It's got Brembo calipers. Nice bit of carbon fibre on the mudguard. It is a really good looking little bike. It's a pretty little bike. And it feels good, like, apart from this bloody seat. When you watch this video, Dave, my God, how the hell do you sit and live with this seat? But yeah, and you can see from here like how wide the bars are, and then quite typically on a Ducati the screen is quite narrow and quite tall. But it does feel as though it does give you a good bit of wind protection. I love the back end on these as well. But yeah, full all-ins, fully adjustable all-in suspension. Aftermarket rear sets as well. But like I say, they're not set too high, so he's got them set up pretty well. We're similar height as well. I think it's a slight bit taller than me. So yeah, overall so far, it feels really comfortable, generally speaking. The bars are nice and wide, so you're not too cramped up. You are a lot further over the tank and over the front of the bike compared to, say, my Fireblade. But I think this is a bike you probably could live with as long as you get yourself a comfort seat. Sorry, Dave, I'm slagging off your seat a lot. And yeah, actually trying to find this side stand is a bit of a nightmare on a Ducati. Anyway, so let's get this running. Let's put this into race mode now, and then see what that does. So I'm in sport at the minute. Let's get that into race. Long press and hold. And there you go, so we're in race mode. So before I pull off in race mode, I'll just say that obviously in sport mode, I'm not riding it in wet. That just softens everything up and you know, tames everything down. In sport mode, which I've just been in, it's okay, it's livable, it's got enough power. Like, it's got enough power to, you know, you don't necessarily want more power on the road, so it's fast enough for what it is. But let's see what it can do in race mode. Let's see how it feels in race mode. I'm still getting used to this hydraulic clutch as well, and the clutch biting point. When you jump on a bike that's different, it is take a little bit of getting used to with a clutch. Okay, so this is race mode. Oh, definitely a slight, definitely a noticeable difference there in acceleration. So I'm purposely going up and down the box here, just so I can start to feel what it's like. You can feel the vibrations through the bars, and I know that Dave is on about getting some aftermarket bar ends just to take that vibration out of the bars a little bit. So yeah, so you definitely feel how far over the front you are when you're under heavy braking. But with a little bit of back brake, just to keep that back end balanced, it sort of helps to stabilise that. It's really difficult to describe. The sound of it is really difficult to describe. I almost want to say that it sounds rattly, but I know it's not rattly, and that's the wrong word. It's not rattly, because to say that something sounds rattly suggests that there's something wrong. Obviously there's not. It sounds, I'm trying to think of the word. That quick shifter works really well. It has got a really nice sort of growl to it, to the exhaust. It's not a deep growl, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's the tone of the exhaust noise is quite high, but it's aggressive. It's so flickable. Obviously in race mode, not only does it sharpen up the throttle response, but it dumbs down all the rider aids as well. Now the conditions are pretty good today. I'm not pushing it because this is not my bike, but I'm not bumping into any electronic aids. I'm not bumping into the traction control. I'm not engaging the wheelie control because, well, I don't want to, but you wouldn't expect to really. And I think out on the road, if you are bumping into all the rider electronics, then you're probably not riding smooth enough. But race mode, I could probably live with this in race mode more than sport mode, to be honest. It feels like it belongs in race mode, if that makes sense. It feels more rideable. Keep hitting that red line. So yeah, it feels more rideable in race mode, less restricted. Anyway, I'm going to switch off and I'm going to enjoy this for myself for a few minutes as I head back. But hopefully that's been interesting, folks. It's just my first impressions. It's not really a hugely in-depth review, but overall I am impressed with this bike. I'd love to try something like this on the track. I bet you could have lots and lots of fun, especially on like small tracks, you know, small UK tracks. It's probably ideal for something like that. But for, you know, A roads and B road twisties, it's a fun little bike, and I am really impressed. So I'm going to head back now. Hopefully this has been interesting, folks. As always, stay safe and have fun.